In a landlord-friendly state, even with an eviction order, it's taking some landlords up to a year to remove tenants from their properties due to an eviction court backlog. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News.
The eviction starts with a knock on the door. Tenants at this Adamsville home ordered to leave. Their possessions all moved out to the curb. This day, a long time coming, too long, according to property owner Judy Smith.
It's heartbreaking, really, because you work hard and you purchase something, and then somebody tries to take it away from you for nothing.
The last rent payment in June, a bad check.
So how much are you owed?
$10,000.
On top of that, she's had to pay the mortgage, insurance, taxes, and attorney fees.
The system is broken for property owners.
Smith's plans to make a little side money backfire.
All right, so I have an interesting article for you today, and it's coming out of a place that I don't cover very often, and that's Alabama. And specifically, I believe it's the Birmingham, Alabama area. I had to look it up because I wasn't aware that the county that they were talking about was where Birmingham is located. So I always talk about places where, there's these laws in place that have made it very difficult for landlords to be able to remove tenants, make it very costly. It's a very long, drawn out process, right? But Alabama is not known to be one of those places. In fact, it's the opposite, where Alabama is known to be a more landlord-friendly place, a place where we have property rights. It's the kind of place I would recommend investing over, like the coastal cities, because, landlords are treated right. But that doesn't mean anything if there is an eviction court backlog so bad that it could take up to a year to be able to remove a tenant from your property after you get the eviction order. Okay? And that's exactly what's happening there in Jefferson County, Alabama. So yeah, it's a bad situation overall. And I'm like, oh, you know what? They need to get this problem fixed. I covered a similar situation going on in the Atlanta metropolitan area. And, basically, we're put in a situation where, hey, you do have the ability to get an eviction order relatively quickly, but that doesn't mean anything. And you're put in the exact same scenario where that they have on the coastal cities like New York, etc., where you're paying all the bills, all the mortgage, taxes, insurance, all of the utilities in some cases, for a tenant to live in your property for free because they can't actually get the person up out of there. Okay, so yeah, this is nightmare situation. I'm going to cover or tell you more about what exactly is going on in Alabama that's causing this situation. Hopefully they can get this resolved, because you know what, I can't honestly recommend investing in a place like freaking Birmingham, Alabama, if they can't get people up out of these properties. So before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the like, subscribe button, maybe leave a comment down below and let me know what you think, okay? Are you surprised to see something like this happening in the South, in Alabama of all places? Crazy, isn't it? I never would think that they would have this sort of trouble and this sort of a backlog, and I'm really wondering what's causing it. I hope the article kind of goes more into it, because, it's curious. It's really curious that this thing is happening in Alabama, of all places. But anyway, let's get into the article and see what it says. This article is coming from abc3340.com, and it says, eviction backlog costing property owners thousands of dollars in lost rent payments. Yeah, it's the same scenario, whether it takes the court, 6 months to make a decision due to all the appeals filed and all that nonsense, or if you got a squatter in your property or whatever. It's the exact same scenario. This is why it's very important that we have a very quick and efficient eviction process. Otherwise, you're going to be putting a lot of small landlords in particular out of business. So let's see what it says. Property owners say they are fed up with freeloading tenants who refuse to pay rent. Evictions in Jefferson County are backlogged as the sheriff's office is still trying to catch up post-pandemic. Judy Smith, among those property owners who reached out to the ABC 3340 News I-team with complaints. It's heartbreaking. You work really hard and someone tries to take it away from you for nothing, remarked Smith. Yeah, she's absolutely right. You work your butt off, and this goes into all landlord issues where the tenant seems to have more rights than the landlord. you work your butt off, you can't get this person out of your property. So you know what, it's to me it's wrong. It's absolutely wrong. And you know, I know in a lot of places they have sheriff's office doing this sort of work, but I've noticed that in some states, some cities, they actually have it where a landlord can hire like a private contractor to actually, you know, do the eviction. So when you get that eviction order, you're not sitting around waiting on the sheriff's office to not be busy. You call up this private contractor, and believe me, the private contractors aren't cheap. I believe that that might be kind of a racket in itself, but you at least you have that option. Call up that private contractor, pay them, they go down there, get that tenant's crap out of there, kind of provide security, and you know, help you get your property and take it back, you know, get new locks on the doors, etc. So, you know, I don't know if that would be a solution when there's this sort of a backlog, but that would be better than nothing. Okay, right now they're just sitting there twiddling their thumbs, losing, you know, thousands of dollars every single month, waiting for the sheriff's office to not be busy. The last rent payment she received was last June, and it was a bad check. She told us she is owed $10,000. On top of that, she's had to pay the mortgage, insurance, taxes, and attorney fees. The system is broken for property owners, said Smith. Yeah, and you know what? $10,000 in lost rent, you know, I mean, it doesn't sound like a lot to the people who are, you know, from the big cities where rent can run, you know, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a month. But you know what? When you're a small mom and pop landlord, this might be the only property that you own, and you're getting $800 a month in rent. Well, guess what? This hurts. This hurts a lot. So yeah, bad situation. I feel bad for this landlord here. I hope she's able to get her property back soon, if they can actually, you know, go out there and kick these tenants out. Her plans to make a little money backfired and caused a lot of stress. She explained her two options now are to sell or hire a property management company. The I-team heard similar complaints from others. Even with a court order, some say they've waited months or up to a year to get their property back. Yeah, and that's a big problem. That's a big problem right there. Now, she says she's thinking of either selling or going with a property management company. Now, you know, you have to vet property management companies, but I will say that, you know, when I switched over to all property management, that relieved a lot of my stress right there. Okay, that doesn't mean that you're not going to have problem tenants. Okay, don't get it wrong. Okay, you're still gonna have problem tenants. In fact, if you choose the wrong property manager, they'll throw bad tenants in there. Okay, that's why I say you got to vet the property manager. But if you choose a good property manager who knows what they're doing, knows the market, and is able to select good tenants to put into your property, then, you know, it will relieve a ton of stress from you. So yeah, I mean, that's what I ended up doing. I didn't want to sell my properties. I knew that, you know, I'm investing in real estate for the long term. I'm going to be owning them, hopefully, you know, till the day I die. So yeah, I'm not selling them, you know, even with a rough eviction. You know, I don't think that you should get out of the business necessarily. I just think that you really have to, you know, if you don't have the time to dedicate to knowing the law, screening, and putting good tenants in there, then you need to hire somebody who can do that. Okay. Most of that is attributable to the fact that there are so many evictions in the system, and there are only 4 district court judges, explained Chisholm Allen Lundy, Legal Services Alabama chair of the housing practice group based in Birmingham. Neither the Jefferson County Civil Court Division or the Sheriff's Office could provide us official numbers for current evictions in the process. Some homeowners say they've been told there are 150 to 200 eviction orders still not completed. The Sheriff's Office is short 50 deputies, and a spokesperson said they could not shift more personnel to eviction work. Yeah, you know, and I think part of that comes to that, like I said, they need to come up with a solution to be able to solve this problem within the law. Okay, so if they're able to say, okay, we can outsource this over to private contractors because we want our sheriff's deputies to actually be able to do more important stuff, be it patrol or court security or whatever, or work in the jail, whatever they have their sheriff's deputies doing now. I don't know what they do down in that area, but if they have other stuff that's more important to them, then they need to figure out a way, because, you know, being able to take your property back from a tenant after eviction. That's very, very important. Now, to me, it sounds like there's two different issues here, though. It's not just the sheriff's office that is shorthanded, but they were talking about how there's only so many judges as well. So, the judges, they have lots of cases, yet they can only make so many decisions. But keep in mind that the grand majority of eviction cases are super simple. Super simple. They are for non-payment of rent. I believe I read that it was up to 95% of all eviction cases are merely for non-payment of rent. So there's not a lot to really look at there. It's like, did you pay the rent or did you not pay the rent? Okay? And if you did not pay the rent, you gotta go. That's the way I see it. So it shouldn't take a long time for a judge to be able to make a decision on an eviction case. So, you know what? To me, 4 judges, and they were talking about there's 200 eviction orders that are not completed. That doesn't seem like that many to me. I think they'd be able to knock them out relatively quickly, but I don't know. I'm not a judge. I'm just saying, okay? But anyway, I'll put a link to this article in the description down below. It's an interesting little fact there that, even in a landlord-friendly state, you can still be dealing with the exact same issues, due to other circumstances.